And you are watching Open Line. Chuck Long here with you this evening. We are asking the expert. We are talking about medical malpractice. Expert tonight is attorney Clint Kelly from the Kelly firm here in the Nashville area. You know, a lot of times we say this show is for you, and I think no time like, especially this evening, does that ring truer, because a lot of times you don't know what to do in a medical malpractice situation. We're helping you answer those questions tonight. Our phone's busy tonight. If you do have a question, again, we're here to answer those questions for you, and the number is 737-7587. We are going to go right back to our phones. Loretta is on the line with us right now. Loretta, thanks for watching this evening, and do you have a question or a comment for Clint?
I do have a question.
Okay.
I went probably about 7 months ago. I ended up with a stomach bug. Ended up having to go to a walk-in clinic, and they give me an injection, a Phenergan injection. As soon as she started to give me the injection, I told her I felt like she was hitting something. Something didn't feel right. She still continued on with the injection. Several days after that, my whole left side of my thigh up towards the lower part of my back was swollen. Ended up going to the doctor. Back to the doctor, and they felt like it was from the injection where a nerve was hit. I have seen several doctors, and each doctor feels it's from this injection. The doctor that I'm seeing now, he's done injections in my back around that nerve, and he's just recently burned the nerves. And his medical opinion, it falls back down to that injection. When I told her that it hurt at that point, he said it immediately should have never been finished given. It's caused me to be at work for about 7 months. I've just got where I can go back, but I'm still on restrictions with that. He also done an EMG to see if there was any type of nerve damage. So he had sent me to another specialist, and it did show that I did have sciatic nerve damage, and that doctor also feels like it's from that injection.
Yeah, that is a rare complication of giving an injection. I've heard of a couple of cases like that in the past where patients have had basically had a nerve speared during an injection, and it will cause either a temporary paralysis or damage to the nerve. Typically, patients make a full recovery within a year. Not always, but that's what neurologists will tell you. The electromyogram is a test to determine whether or not she's got some kind of damage to the nerve. Sounds like that test has come back positive, and so the question becomes how far along will she be able to make a full recovery. The fact she's going back to work after 7 months is very encouraging, but it's one of those situations where probably when she gets to when Loretta gets to month 10, if she hasn't made a full recovery, she ought to call us or call another attorney and ask whether or not to have the claim investigated. I will say this, in some situations these are risks that unfortunately have to be assumed by the patient, but if you're telling the nurse it's hurting and the nurse is persistent in giving the injection, then it would seem to me that's something that would be worth looking into as potentially being a case of negligence.
Okay. All right. Loretta, thanks so much for calling this evening.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. All right, going right back to the phones. Renee is on 2 with us. Renee, glad you're watching. Do you have a question or a comment for Clint?
Yes, I have a question. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I had back surgery done in October of '08, and it was supposed to be the complete discectomy. I don't know how to say that word, but he just went in and kind of tucked it back in. A week later, it ruptured after I got home. I went back in to have my second surgery to get it done the way it was supposed to have been done the first time by the same doctor. I also have lupus, so a year later it felt like nothing had ever been done. So he thought maybe the titanium in the screws had, the lupus was affecting that, so he went in again for the third time. That was in '09, and took out the 2 screws on the right. It still did not have any relief whatsoever. They had left it up against my sciatic nerve for so long that it caused permanent damage to my right leg. I went from here to California from the third surgery until 2013 looking for help, and just got sent to pain management. And of course, you know how that goes with the narcotics and all that. I was limited because of my other illnesses. I got back to Tennessee, and in October of 2013, I found a doctor that specialized just in failed back surgeries. I wound up having an 8-hour surgery that they had to go in through my stomach first for about 3.5 hours and then turn me over and go into my back for the remainder of the time. There's nothing they can do now. I still suffer with the nerve damage and the pain. It does feel better. I'm a little more able to get around and do a little bit more, but I'm on disability now. But it's not like I stopped looking for a treatment, because I traveled from Tennessee to California finding somebody that could help me. Well, the doctor that did my final surgery, his first words to my parents when he come out was the first surgery was botched, that he had pulled out, supposedly there was supposed to have been a cage implanted, and it never was, and what was implanted in me had disintegrated, and part of that bone spur had been placed upon the spine and the nerves. So it's been 3 years, and I have talked to another attorney, but, they don't want to take it. Like you were saying, the big hospital doctor attorneys is who I contacted. So I don't know if, it hasn't been 10 years. I don't know what the length of time is to do anything. Is there anything that can be done?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Renee, because we haven't talked about the statute of limitations yet. In Tennessee, you have 1 year from the date that you discover you're injured to file what's called a pre-suit notice on the doctor or the hospital who you're bringing a claim against, and in no event are you allowed to bring a lawsuit more than 3 years after the negligent act, unless there's fraud or unless there's been some type of foreign instrument left in your body. Going back over your chronology, it would seem that the first act of negligence occurred in 2008 and then perhaps in 2009. So you would be well beyond the time frame in which the law allows you to bring a lawsuit, or at least file pre-suit notice, because I don't think there's anything from what you're saying that was done wrong in October of 2013, because that doctor's trying to basically fix her. This is why it's so important for people when they have had something wrong done to them, Chuck, to pick up the phone just like Renee did and call. But don't wait a year, don't wait 2 years, don't even wait a month. If you believe that you have been the victim of a major bad medical mistake, pick up the phone and call, because it costs you nothing. But if you wait, and you wait too long, which I believe unfortunately in Renee's case is the situation, you're not going to get your day in court, because the law will not let you file a lawsuit.
Okay. All right, well, that is good to know. So, Renee, I know that that's hard to hear, but we do appreciate you bringing that up, because a lot of people, will benefit from that information. All right, well, thanks for calling, and have a great evening. All right, we are going back to the lines right now, so I think Christy is on the line with us. Christy, we're glad that you called, and do you have a question or a comment for Clint?
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely.
And my question is, back in 2015, I had hip surgery. And back in January, on the 23rd, whatever, January of last year, I had left hip surgery. Then, and that surgery went fine. On the second hip surgery was 4 weeks later, or a few days less than 4 weeks later, I had my right hip surgery done. They placed 3 titanium pins in each hip. But after I had the second surgery, within a week, I had thrown a dozen blood clots to my right lung. Come to find out, I was never given any blood thinners, anything to take home for the 2 weeks that I was supposed to have given to me. And now I have permanent damage. It didn't help the hips any, and I didn't know if I'm not worried about the money. I just don't want the next person that goes through this, if they die. I was very fortunate if I didn't die. And I was just wondering what it is that I could do to keep this certain position from being able to do this to somebody else.
Christy, did you give a thought or consideration of calling a lawyer sometime last year about this?
Yes, I called several, and nobody wanted to take it because they said that with the big doctors and hospitals and stuff, that I had to go out of state to get a lawyer, and I can't do that. I don't have any money to do something like that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Sounds like you called the wrong guys. Christy brings up a very, very important. There's a medical topic and a legal topic. Legally, I'm afraid that the time has passed on her too, because if the surgery occurred in January or February of 2015, we're well beyond the year, and it sounds to me what she's describing is a pulmonary embolism or blood clot in the lungs. And Chuck, it is now deemed to be the #1 leading cause of preventable deaths in hospitals. The Surgeon General issued a call to action back in 2008 warning all the hospitals to create policies and protocols for the prevention of blood clots. The foremost tool in that effort is use of a subcutaneous drug or a shot called heparin, which is just a blood thinner, anticoagulant. And it is classic textbook medicine that if a patient's going to have a hip replacement, they are to get a shot of heparin throughout, before the surgery, during, and some after, because blood clots are notorious in hip replacements because the patient has to be immobilized, and because of that there's what they call stasis, or pooling of blood in the lower veins of the leg, which can then travel into the heart and then into the pulmonary artery, which can kill. And thank God in Christy's case it did not, but it doesn't make it any less bad for her that she's had to go through this horrible situation. What can you do about the doctor, Christy? You can report the physician to the Medical Board of Examiners if you feel that that's what you need to do. Also, you can go on the internet and report what's happened to you so that other people can see that affiliated with this doctor. There is no excuse in 2016 or 15 for that matter in not getting heparin to prevent blood clots so that something doesn't happen to somebody else like what happened to Christy.
All right, very good to know. So Christy, thank you so much for calling in. Sorry that you've had a tough time. But again, when you call a lot of times with the situations you're going through, I know that it helps other viewers to hear things that they can do. You know, maybe they made a mistake and now they can figure out, oh, I've got a call within that year. Right. So it's always good to know. So we do appreciate it. We've got quite a few folks on the line with us, but we do need to take a break. Stay on the line with us. If you have a question or comment, 737-7587 is the number to call. We'll take a break and more Open Line right after this.